welcome back to our video series, hanging out with Ryan from Meraki, who's going to be showing us a live demo today. I'm Tony Alexander, digital transformation team focused entirely on cloud native solutions in the physical security industry. Ryan, why don't you take it away and show us a little bit of a Meraki demo?
I appreciate it, Tony. So I'm just going to open things up into what we call Meraki Vision Portal. There's a couple portals that I'm going to show you today. They're all included in the same license. There's no extra things or hidden costs here, but they serve different functions, so I want to highlight them differently for you. And as we're in Vision Portal, you can see here, we've got our view of the cameras, we've got our floor plans, we can see where our cameras are and which ways they're facing on the floor plans, and we can get a lot of good context data as a security user, being able to see what's going on in the building itself. And if I need to switch between cameras and maybe I want to use native language search to go to a bike room, I can make those searches and navigate between cameras relatively easily. I am going to go back to the stairwell because I think it's a good one to show as people are always in there moving. But in this view, you can see things like where the timeline is. You can see actual motion events on a timeline. But let's just do an investigation example. Maybe someone slipped and fell right here on this platform, and I wanted to do a quick investigation of what's going on or what happened from a context perspective as someone slipped and fell. And it really is as simple as clicking and dragging in that specific area where I want to do the search, and then getting those results on the side. I can set a time range, I can set parameters around how much motion must have been detected before, and then I can get that context of that specific search. And this is something called motion recap, where I can actually see the footage without having to watch the 31-second view. This is just a simple way to see, yep, okay, it was these people, I knew they slipped and fall, we knew exactly what they were wearing. We can get some really good context data. I can play the clip, I can jump to the video in the dashboard, I could take this image and export it out, or I can export the footage itself. And as you see there, I clicked export. It shows that there is an export job error. I want to touch on that because this is actually a feature. I do not have the permissions as a sales function role within Meraki to export footage from our security cameras in our San Francisco office, which that is absolutely a positive. I should not be allowed to export that footage out. That is a security function, not a sales function. Likewise, I can go in and do the same type of thing in our video walls. I can do video walls in a single network. I can do video walls across multiple networks. Maybe I want to set up a video wall where I see just the IDF closets like we have set up here. Or maybe I want to set up a multi-network video wall where I'm looking at the entrance doors or the back of house doors to all of my locations. We can do that as well. But what's really neat about this is with the video wall view, we can make exporting across multiple cameras even easier for you. So let's say someone came into our bike room and stole a bike out of the bike room and it was captured, that person was captured across multiple cameras. I can actually go in and select multiple cameras and add to them and then be able to export all across all of those cameras with one click of the button. I don't have to go camera by camera and export. I can just do it very seamlessly and automatically. To see what an export looks like, I just want to show you that. We've got a file name that gets automatically generated. This file format is just an MP4, so you don't need an MIT degree and a whole bunch of special proprietary hardware and software to be able to decipher the export. It really is as simple as exporting the video. Likewise, we've got all of our watermarking, our checksums that can be copied directly to your clipboard or at least viewed right here. So from a chain of custody perspective, this allows us to be viable in a court of law. Also, there's other ways to export this video footage out. So if I want to just send a shareable link to someone with administrative or read-only views, I can do that. If I want to download the MP4, I can download that MP4 and then send that MP4 file to whoever needs to be viewing the footage itself. I can also see a historical of those exports. I can search by file name, by camera. I can do all kinds of really neat things, but I can get all of that view right here. So that is just a high-level view of our cameras in the Vision portal. But I also want to show the administrative level view as well, because this is a really good way from an administrator view to understand what's going on with my cameras and get more context and be able to provision cameras or set profiles up for those cameras. So with this is our traditional Meraki dashboard, and as you can see here, I can use this dashboard to not just manage cameras, but also manage my environmental sensors, also manage my entire network. And by the way, as you saw with me not having permissions to export footage, I can set up policies where people only have access to this view, or set up access where people only have access to view the actual camera only vision as well. So we can really allow for privacy and security and divvying of role functions if organizations require that internally for policies. In here, I just want to touch on a couple big things. So we're going to go back to that stairwell camera. And in that stairwell camera, I can do all the same motion search and everything like that, but I can also see networking information. So, as an IT administrator, maybe I want to understand, where is this connected in my network? What switch is this connected to? What port is this connected to? The chassis ID, the port ID, I can see the VLANs that this is connected to. I can get a lot of contextual information just from a networking perspective and an IT perspective of how this is performing on the network. I also don't have this administrative view, but if I wanted to power cycle the camera from this dashboard, I can. I can ping it. I can blink the LEDs to make sure it's connected correctly. There's all kinds of neat things that we can do right here. Lastly, I do want to mention, you might be wondering, we talked about being able to store footage directly on the camera, and how do you get enough storage directly on that camera that's a tiny little camera? There's no way you can store 30 days of footage. I just want to show you a couple things. One, we can actually adjust this based on video resolution and video quality. So as you see right here, 18 days of estimated retention with 24 frames per second at 1080p. Maybe I don't have a 24 frames per second requirement internally. Maybe I can get away with 15 frames per second. And as you see, it automatically changes that retention to 36 days. We've doubled it. If I go down to 8 frames per second, 50 days. If I go back to the mid 90s and 720p, we can actually show you 90 plus days of retention. Now, I want to just hit on this because motion, as I mentioned earlier, is a huge analytic for us from an investigation perspective, but we can also use that same powerful analytic to improve our retention. So instead of doing what on-premise systems like to do, which is record on motion, let's keep doing 24/7 recording. And after 3 days, let's delete the footage where we did not record any motion events in there. You could still export out any events. If you found an event happened, you could export things out, but let's delete that footage after 3 days where we didn't detect any motion. And we just went from 36 days of retention to 79 days of retention at 15 frames per second, over 30 days of retention on the camera based on historical hours of motion detected by the camera at 24 frames per second, and we're over 90 days of retention at 8 frames per second. So just another way to show you the power of what we're doing directly on the camera and then using software to optimize that for our customers, whether that's investigations or getting the most out of the platform itself from a retention and quality perspective. So that's just a few things that we can do. There's so much more that we can do. We can absolutely set up some time with your Convergint reps and the Meraki team and show you even more that's applicable to your business.
Amazing. Well, Ryan, thank you for the quick overview, and thanks for joining us here in studio today. And thank you for watching and joining us as well. If you want more content like this, go to convergint.com/DT, and also don't forget to join us next week, where we're going to be bringing all of this together and hanging out with our friends from Meraki Engineer and bringing the whole package together, talking more about integrations and a single pane of glass experience. Lastly, like and subscribe this video so that you can stay up to date on all the new, latest and emerging technology in the physical security space.